Please welcome Adobe Director of Architecture, Richard Steck.
Good morning, good morning. I'm very excited to be the first speaker. Good to see so many people here bright and early. I'm very excited to talk to you today about Salt and how Adobe is leveraging it. So let's start off. So first and foremost, I was very jealous of those space outfits. This was the best I could come up with. This is actually about a 10-year-old picture from a data center. It was in Dallas, Texas, in case you couldn't guess. So I made my own cowboy outfit. So I've been at Adobe for 13 years, and I've been honored to work in the architecture team for about the last 3. So it was a team that didn't exist prior to, and we've built it with some pretty great people. So I know you're super excited to find out how we're integrating Salt with Photoshop, Acrobat, and Illustrator. Surprise, we're not. So there's another side to Adobe, which is actually lesser known, but still very important. It actually drives quite a bit of our business. It's one of the world's largest SaaS offerings that's created by our Experience, Analytics, Ad, and Marketing clouds. So these services are consumed by many of the world's top brands. We have, I won't read the slides for you, but you can see here that it's pretty well consumed across most of the retail, finance, auto, media, and travel industry. So these are brands that expect a lot from Adobe. We do 100 trillion transactions a year across all of our different products, our SaaS products. These are tags on web pages, interactions, email deliveries. It's a pretty serious operation. And to give you a little bit of insight, this is a graph from a single customer event. If there's any news story, any product release, internet rumor, Adobe typically feels it. So this is a snapshot of a 30-minute window where we went from a single customer driving 30,000 transactions per second all the way up to 840,000 transactions per second. So it requires quite a bit of consistency across our services. We don't have a lot of room for mistakes and variability. A little bit about our infrastructure. We are very diverse. We have over 55 locations across Adobe that we serve production traffic from, over 100,000 hosts, 200 plus SREs, and an operations team that's got over 450 people. 100 petabytes of data and almost 800 unique models that are in production today. And to make things as complicated as possible, we run on AWS, Azure, and the private cloud. So this is a little bit of a sample of products that we have, technologies that we have in production today. This is not just a, Git star select or something. This is legit. And these are all of the products and services and technologies that we're leveraging today to help deliver. So I know what you're thinking right now. Rich, isn't the director of architecture supposed to bring some simplicity and clarity to the infrastructure? Clearly, I am failing, but it's not all my fault. We have acquired over a dozen companies in the last 10 years to build the marketing and experience clouds that I was mentioning. And they've brought some great people. They've brought some great technology, and whenever I think I've seen every unique possible combination of how to layer the pieces together, there's a new one always just around the corner. So every time we shut down a data center, we usually bring in 2 or 3 more. So sometimes working at Adobe feels a little bit like living in the Tower of Babel. It's not easy. So going back to this tech stack, we do have one thing that helps bring a lot of this together, and that is SaltStack. So SaltStack has been a part of Adobe for several years, and we've made some really good progress aligning around it. So I want to talk to you a little bit about how we've gone beyond config management. I think everybody in this room is here because they're using Salt for config management. That's what we do. Anyone in here like, what's Salt? But I'm going to take 2 days out and go to a conference. So for us, it's really been interesting to watch as the business has been a primary driver for us now. Everyone's sold on the technology. We're now using this very consistently across our hosts. It's really been compliance, asset management, and security that have driven the expansion and continued use of Salt across Adobe. So most of the time, if you're watching Star Trek: The Next Generation, the universal translator is just built into everything. There's a couple of screenshots of one. This is a universal translator that's portable. So from a compliance perspective, let me tell you a little bit about what drove us here. So The businesses that I mentioned, those enterprises, they really demand high levels of trust and compliance. And so ISO 27001 and SOC 2 were identified several years ago as being critical compliance certifications for Adobe to obtain across their products. And we had a proprietary solution, but we had some problems with it. It was expensive, it wasn't that performant, and if someone were to come to you and say, hey, I've got this really great module that you should install on all of your machines, you can't see the source code, it's going to scan your files, run at random times, and then send all of that data outside of your network, feels a little bit like malware. So we were a little concerned about that, and so we did what any good software company would do. We developed our own internal tool that was more performant and easier to manage. And it had a little side benefit of saving us over $1 million annually. So this is a huge win for us. That tool is Hubble. Hopefully some of you have heard about that. This is something that we've been very proud to work with the community on and actually open source. So let me tell you just briefly about this. So Hubble's open source, modular, built on SaltStack. The latest version is actually using SaltStack as a library to expand the usage, even beyond servers that don't have that installed. And as I mentioned previously, almost every host that we have today has this installed. It's been really great to get some insights beyond compliance. We've actually found patterns. You can imagine there are some services that have thousands of machines that are allocated to do that same job. And Salt's been fantastic for us to help find discrepancies in some of those configs. Despite the amount of automation that we have been able to develop, there are still things that we find from time to time. So you can find out more at hubblestack.io. And Christopher Edwards, also from Adobe, is going to be giving a presentation in one of the breakouts at 10:45. So please join in there. On the asset management side, this has been a huge thing. As I mentioned, we're split across public and private, and so trying to keep track of all of those has been very difficult. We have proprietary tags in Azure, proprietary tags in AWS, no tags in the data center, and so we've really worked hard to automate as much of that inventory management as we could. We grew up far away from our server rooms, and so we didn't have a good way to just go and physically see what was there. So this has been a part of our DNA for about 15 years. So we've created a proprietary CMDB to help us capture a lot of the fields and properties and attributes that you'll find today in Azure and AWS tagging. So we've really standardized to say, what is this thing and what does it do? So we use that in conjunction with Salt, and we have read-write access back and forth to our CMDB. This is great. We can do SaltStack targeting based on other properties and attributes. We can extend our schema within our CMDB and create unique sets that we want to use with Salt. We just recently completed an audit with a third party as part of those ISO 27001 and SOC 2 compliance reports that we have to do now annually. And the audit was so great that they actually thought they made a mistake. It was the highest physical audit that they had ever completed, highest accuracy, and so they actually went back and did it a second time, and the scores were even better the second time. So we're very proud of the work that we've done there, and Salt's been a pretty key component of that. On the security front, I've heard this as a common theme, compliance and security. We're migrating over to HashiCorp Vault right now for all of our secrets across the 4 clouds that I mentioned earlier. So we're now managing secrets there, and it's been great for us to automate the password rotations with Salt. So we've had some old scripted processes that took many hours, and you can imagine if they're 99% accurate, that still leaves 1,000 hosts that are incorrect. And so Salt has taken that down to just a few minutes, and it's been fantastic. The consistent provisioning is also something that really helps our auditors and our security team sleep well at night. So where are we going? I do want to say that it's really easy when I sit where you are right now and there's some other guy on stage with a black t-shirt saying, everything's great, our company's so smart, we've got everything figured out. We don't. We've got a lot of room to grow and keep learning. We're doing a great job, but we're not done yet. So beyond servers, we have a lot of work to still do. Teams do use, on the server front, they do use it differently, and so we're taking that beyond servers to the network layer, as I've heard many teams talk about. We're actually now hiring Hubble developers. This has become so critical for Adobe. At the time when we first proposed Hubble, it was our CISO said, you realize that if and when this thing blows up, my face is the face on the cover of the magazine, right? When this goes bad. So, and they're now fully on board, and it's been great to see the community come together and help us make that product even better. We're driving further alignment across Adobe. We're not the only operations team. There's an IT group. There's some people that take care of our cloud operations teams on the creative side as well. And we're using Salt to even further align on that front. And then contributing with all of you here. It's great to see the community grow. I've been involved with Salt for a couple of years, and to see this conference get bigger and bigger is really amazing. So one of the first projects that I mentioned that our architecture team worked on was really around configuration management. And we had a lot of choices back then. We've mentioned several of the options, and we were using all of them. And as we looked for reference customers that were really doing this at scale, we couldn't really find anything that really went beyond 8,000 hosts. And so we were super excited to work with Salt and see the progress that we've had there. So we recommended Salt then, and we recommend Salt now, and maybe that's why I still have a job. So thank you so much. I'm very, very honored to be here at this conference with you, and I hope that you all have a great rest of your day. Thank you.